Last week, there was some big stories in design and tech, some big PR crisis from both Webflow and Basecamp. In this video, I want to break down what happened, also share my opinion, so stay tuned. Hey designer friends, what is up? This video today is not actually about design or web design per se, but it does have to do with with some companies that we talk about a lot here. They are Webflow and Basecamp, and some issues like political or social issues that happen with them. And I think it is important to discuss this and state our opinion, just because these are both tools that we use and people that we look up to. And in general, everything that we do is political. So whether we choose to use a service or give money to some people, we make a choice to whether we want to support them or not. So I think it does matter to discuss what happened and kind of like thinking about this moving forward. All right, I want to start off with the Basecamp story. So just for a little context, if you're not familiar with Basecamp are pretty popular or well known because they've been a web design studio that kind of converted into being a tech company running their own product, which is called Basecamp. Their main product now, they have another company called Hey for an email, but it's basically a project management tool. And they're very famous because they've bootstrapped their company. They didn't take money, and both their founders are very outspoken, and they're kind of like big thought leaders in the tech community in general. They're kind of like against the VC and working hard, and they are for remote. So for a lot of time, they've been very, very influential. I've read a couple of their books. The first one called Rework, which was very, very influential on how I think about working and how I actually manage my company. The other one was called Remote, about working in a remote team, also because we are running our team as a remote team. It's been very influential. So they are very kind of like highly regarded. Now, what happened last week is basically they came out with a statement that basically says changes in Basecamp. And I'm going to link the article below. Basically, they said they're no longer allowing people to discuss politics or social issues on the company's platform. And again, because they are remote, this is where basically how they're communicating. So basically, you're not allowed to talk about anything that's political or social in the context of work. And this basically came after, turns out they had somebody in the company was maintaining a list of customers with funny names, and then after a few years that was happening and everybody knew about this, some employees came out and said this is wrong, and they were trying to fix this and talk about why this is wrong and doing all kinds of like diversity and inclusion exercises within the company. And turns out founders didn't like this. They thought this was either taking people's attention or distracting them from work, and they came out with this statement saying basically you're not allowed to talk about anything that has to do and this is not politics like right wing, left wing. This is more like about how do we want to behave as a company. But they were not cool with that. They came out with this statement, and actually I think after they came out with this last week, I think like 20 employees or something quit because they were like, we're not going to take this. We don't want to work in a company that doesn't allow us to talk about, what we care about at work. So here's basically how I see this. And basically this exploded over Twitter. And then, with the whole cancel culture, everybody was like, no, do not work with this company anymore. They are horrible. They are, everything that's bad in tech. And so trying to basically cancel them. So here's basically my perspective. Look, first of all, you have to realize two things. One is starting a company and a business and making sure that your business is successful and is, making money and, providing jobs and all of that. That is super, super, super difficult. That is number one. Number two, making social changes, fighting systematic racism and all the things that are going wrong in society is also very, very difficult. Companies that try to do both of them, that is like incredibly, incredibly difficult. And so in that case, they have basically decided we do not want to try and do both. We just care about running a successful company, right? We're not going to care about social stuff and stuff like that. And, as a business owner, they are allowed to do that. That being said, that basically, first of all, exposes them to negative PR, right? Negative reaction. This is how basically social change is happening in the world, is by shaming people, right? Into doing what is now either politically correct or acceptable. This is how we make social changes. So whether you like it or not, this is basically how society operates. And this is what was at play here. They said, we don't care about social changes. And then everybody in the, discussion on Twitter or wherever in the ecosystem said this is wrong, and then a lot of the people who were there, whether because they don't want to work in a company like that or because they think now it's trashes their brand that they're working in a company who is being canceled, they chose to basically leave. And so again, I think that although they are the founders and they can choose to do whatever they want to do, also society has the ability to try and shame them or say this is not acceptable. And whoever wins in the long term, I don't know, perhaps they'll keep running their company the way that they want to keep their company. But now, obviously, there is a cost. Everybody that is applying to that job knows exactly what is being accepted of him. I don't think that, I think that for some people, and they actually recognize this in the post, this is not going to be a good fit for them. And whether they survive for the long term or not, I don't know. We'll have to see. Either they kind of like crash under the pressure of the popular opinion trying to have them change their policy, or they'll stick with it and stick with the outcome. I do personally think that it's weird to come out with this statement. I do believe that everything is political, and so to treat your work as if it can be apolitical or non-political, I think is ludicrous, because everything is political. What you do with your money, what you're talking about. Basically, if you're saying we don't want to talk about politics, the subtext of what you're saying is the current politics works for me. I'm enjoying the current situation, so I don't want to pay. I don't want to disturb things right now. I want to focus on working with the current system, making money because it works for me. So again, perhaps that's working for them, but it acknowledged that their policy is we don't care about change and we don't want to change things. At least money is more important than making social change. So that is topic number one. Now, the second story of the week is at Webflow, a company which I talk about a lot. We teach people how to use Webflow. I love them. I actually know the founders myself, and I care about the company a lot. Now, Webflow, so first of all, what happened? So there was another post, a member on the team quit and published a very long Medium article saying, basically the title of the article was, "White women are the most dangerous upholders of white supremacy in Silicon Valley, and holding them accountable could cost you your career, community, and your sanity." Basically, she explains how she was working with her VP, which is a white woman, and she was keeping her down, keeping people of color down, and when and treating her bad in general, telling her basically she have to work super hard and sacrifice her health or sanity or whatever. When she tried to bring it up with HR or with the CEO, they basically ignored it. That's basically her claim, and she came out with that, and basically what Vlad, who is the CEO, basically said, this is really, really serious allegations. We're taking this seriously, and we're bringing in like a third party company to do an investigation. We want to troubleshoot this. We want to solve this. And of course, a lot of people on Twitter and the social discussions were saying like, this is bullshit. You're not going to change anything. And Webflow had issues in the past where they were criticized for, I don't know if being racist is the right term, but not being like equal opportunities and stuff like that. They have had criticism on them in the past for Black applicants trying to enroll for a job. And so here's my thoughts about that. Remember when I said earlier on that I think trying to do both, start a business and create some kind of a social change together is insanely difficult. Well, Webflow actually states that this is what they're trying to do, that they're trying to do both. I don't remember by heart, but I think that in their mission statement, it's not just about, building an amazing product, democratizing, creating for the web. It's also creating a company that the employees are happy at, and creating a great workplace environment. So, and they do care about, at least I know Vlad, the CEO, who's I'm following on Twitter, and he's always tweeting about this. And I know that this is about social change, about, anti-racism. Actually, the reason that I read the book, White Fragility, which I recommended in books that I read last year or 2 years ago, was actually because of a recommendation from Vlad, who was basically urging a lot of people to read this. So, and they do have, on their website, a page with transparency about the diversity and the team and everything. And like a lot of tech companies, they are not perfect, but at least they are stating this and they're saying that they're trying to do better. So I know from firsthand that they care about this. Now, does the fact that they care about this means that they are perfect? No, they're not perfect and they are making mistakes. And I think, by the way, reading this book, The White Fragility, actually helped me understand that a lot of white people, when they are being criticized for being racist, even because they're not doing anything and they're just living in a system that has some white privileges, and they're not willing to acknowledge the white privilege because they think that it immediately says that they are bad people just because they are complicit. And when somebody tells you that you're a bad person, that immediately you want to react and fight against it. So I do think that you can never be perfect, or at least you can try and do better, but you won't be perfect. And I think that that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to do better, but they're not perfect. Now, some of the criticism says, yeah, you're just saying this. You're just saying that you care about this thing because, right now this is the politically correct thing to say. You care about diversity and stuff like that. But when we look at your actions, it's not in line with what you're saying. So basically this is bullshit. And I think there's no way to counteract this argument. It's just what will happen in the long term. If in the long term they are trying to do better and they will improve, then I really congratulate them because they're trying to do something that is very, very, very difficult. If on the long term they keep saying one thing and doing another thing, then perhaps, there's incongruency and there's a problem here, and perhaps maybe they are deceiving somebody. I say, because my gut feeling, and just because I personally got to know the people who are involved, I think, and also I'm a person who believe in the good nature of people, and I give people the credit. I do believe that they are trying to do better, and they're trying to be better, but we are never perfect. I know for myself that I am not a perfect person, right? I grew up as a white Jewish person in Israel, a country that is very racist. There's racism, towards black people, but also towards Muslims, religious people, Russian people. I mean, there's so much underlying racism in the country that I live in, and I grew up in this. So I know that even though I'm trying to be aware of it and unbiased, I will most likely make mistakes, right? And even though I never had to make really tough trade-offs towards my company, I never had to be in a tough situation where I have to say, okay, you're fired, or we're risking the financial health of the company because we're trying to support this social cause. I was never in a situation to make these tough choices. I want to believe that I will try to do the right thing, but I do know that people make mistakes, and I will probably make mistakes in the future as well. And so, as I said, I do believe people, the hearts of people at Webflow are at the right place, even if they are making mistakes sometimes, because none of us are perfect. And I do hope to see towards the long term things getting better. So I hope that kind of makes sense. These situations are always tough. I would love to hear what's your opinion. Let me know in the comment below. I really want to have this discussion out in the open because I think this is important. We are all building the future together, the future of working together, building companies, building products. Even if you're a freelancer and you're working towards a client or with a client, you're basically helping them support their vision of the world. So we're all a part of this. You can't really be apolitical. You're contributing, you live in a society anyway. So hopefully we try to do better together. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.